As we continue, of course, making sense of the numbers. To help us do that, here in our studios at the National Results Operations Center is Dr. Ronesh Dhawraj, who is, of course, the SABC News research editor with us here in our studios. And we're spoiled for choice about where to begin. But since we come from Gauteng, we might as well continue on the track of reflecting on these strongholds or these battlegrounds, is the term I'm looking for. KZN is indisputably one of the major battlegrounds that people are watching very closely. Less than 40% of the VDs there have been accounted for. But my goodness, MK has more than double the ANC support.
Yeah, but I think it's still early days. I know the parties are getting too excited at the moment, but I think 40% is still a long way ahead from 100% of VDs in KZN. So let's look back at KZN. Why is it so important? Firstly, it has the second largest number of registered voters, just behind Gauteng, who's got 6.4 million, KZN 5.7 million. 16% of the country's GDP emanates from KZN. But very, very importantly as well, Ayanda, if you look at the regional ballot, how the regional ballot for the National Assembly is structured, obviously we've got the compensatory ballot with 200 seats, and then the regional ballot. On that regional ballot, Gauteng boasts the largest number of seats that go to Parliament, that's 47. Behind Gauteng is KZN with 41. So therein lies KZN's importance, KZN's significance. So let us look back at what happened in 2019 in terms of the KZN legislature. So in 2019, the ANC suffered its biggest loss, whether it was national, whether it's provincial. On the national ballot, the ANC lost 1.4 million votes. On the provincial ballot, on the other hand, the ANC suffered 1.5 million vote loss between 2014 and 2019. And most of those losses actually came from KZN, around 33%, and that was just over 500,000. So that was the biggest loss for the ANC that came from this particular province. I think that's why we are so focused on this province, and obviously Gauteng to a certain extent, and the Western Cape as so-called battlegrounds. So let's look at the KZN legislature, what happened in 2019. So obviously in 2014, Jacob Zuma was still in the picture. The ANC did very well, the highest vote tally, around 65% in the legislature. 2019, 1.9 million. The ANC was reduced to around 54% of the vote in the legislature. Then the IFP was on the ascent as well. Obviously the NFP was imploding. Then Jacob Zuma was removed from the ANC, was removed from the presidency. So that affected the votes that actually went to the ANC and kind of migrated towards the IFP. Then we had the rise of the EFF, especially in 2019. The EFF was the biggest beneficiary of the 2019 elections. They benefited nationally, 19 seats. In all provinces, they got extra seats. And in every single metro, especially eThekwini in KZN, a very instrumental part of KZN, they rose. I think their support base tripled in eThekwini. So this is the reason KZN is absolutely integral in these elections. This space has to be watched. Like we said earlier, just 40% of VDs declared. When we reach that 100% level, I think that picture is going to look very, very different.
Yeah, especially because we are also anticipating, of course, to see where KZN is going to swing because of eThekwini, that major metro that accounts for a big bulk of the people there. What do we know about eThekwini, typically speaking? Is it possible to tell whether or not the MK will continue with the trajectory in that part of KwaZulu-Natal, or in fact there might be a spanner in the works?
I think if I had to compare the MK party, I'll probably align it more to the IFP, NFP. They'll probably score in terms of rural votes. I think in the metro, I think the EFF will decline, but not as much as the ANC. I think MK's creation is kind of a, I'm not sure what word to use, but it's out of anger. They're upset with the governing party. And, we had lots of politicians even stating it up front that we want to put things right. And even Jacob Zuma's daughter yesterday at the ROC, she made a comment that my father is still a member of, he's the party president of MK, but he still remains a member of the ANC.
Goodness.
What's the reason he's still a member of the ANC? He wants to correct the so-called wrongs under the Cyril Ramaphosa ANC presidency. So I think we can tell a lot from that.
This idea that the MK is a room in the house, which is the ANC, but we'll see how it all unfolds. Dr. Ronesh, great to speak to you as always. Thanks very much indeed for helping us make sense of these numbers. Dr. Ronesh Dhawraj, SABC News research editor.